Welcome. I'm Christy. This is Pranayama Yoga, where we're focusing on breath as a tool to help ourselves feel better. We're going to try to let these shoulders relax down away from our ears. So start to tune into your breath. Feel the body moving as you breathe. Any little shifts you need to make. Just maybe wiggle around a little bit. So this beginning part, you can start to notice that things are tight and maybe a little uncomfortable to sit still. So just a little stretch there. And a deep breath. We're going to blend breathing into, so if you've been following along with this series, some of it we've worked on using pranayama in the poses. So today we're going to do some yin yoga, which is a great place to focus on your breath. It's this very complementary practice to really do that mindful breathing pranayama practice and yin yoga together. So let's begin with Nadi Shodhana. So this is the one we're going to close off sides of the nose. You can use any fingers that work for you. You can use thumb and index finger, or you can bend down index and middle finger if that works. And then it's thumb and ring finger. So close off the right nostril. We're going to take an inhale through the left nostril. And then we're going to exhale out through the right. So close off your left nostril, open up the right. Exhale out through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. And then we're going to change sides again and exhale through the left. So that's one complete round. We're going to inhale through the left. Change sides, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Change sides, exhale through the left. And then we're going to do about 3 more rounds. So you're just changing right before you exhale. So each side is an exhale and then an inhale. Try to let your shoulders drop down. So when you get to that next left exhale, then just let it go. So you can see that just 5 rounds. It just starts to really slow everything down a little bit. Let's take a nice full breath. So 5 to 10 rounds. Just a nice simple practice. Let your head drop forward, stretching the neck, let your shoulders drop down. And then stretch your arms up overhead. Give that nice long lift up towards the ceiling. Hands together. Bring them on down to the heart. All right, we are going to, I forgot to say at the beginning, we're going to try to do a supported back bend. If you have 2 yoga blocks, and you think that that's doable to do a back bend on yoga blocks, grab those. Otherwise, you can use any kind of a pillow, bed pillow, maybe 2 bed pillows will work nicely. If you have a yoga bolster, you can use that. All right. So if you have something, go get it. And then we're going to do a standing forward fold. All right, so hopefully you have whatever props you need here. We're just going to take it into a nice little gentle standing forward fold. And we're going to let the head drop down. Bend your knees if those legs are tight. There can be some nice bends in the knees. Sometimes that's nice just to round the back, and bending the knees, just going to round your spine a little bit more. Come into a half lift, bring your head up, pull your chest forward, lengthen out that spine. Good. And then come on down into child's pose. We're just going to do a few breaths in child's pose. I always like to move a little bit, loosen things up before we go into just holding the poses. Come up onto hands and knees. We're going to do a little cat, head and tailbone down, belly and spine up. Inhale, drop your spine down towards the floor. And then maybe head and chest come up. If it hurts, you can keep your head down. Just get that shoulder stretch, dropping the spine down between the shoulder blades. But if you can bring your head up, you can lift up. Turn your head to the right. Turn your head to the left. So again, even if your head's down, you can turn a little bit to the left side. And then back to center. We're going to round into cat. Come back into dog, spine down. Good. And then lower down onto your lower arms. Start to walk your legs back, coming down onto your abdomen. We're going to do a little bit of a cobra here. Our hands flat on the floor, somewhere below your shoulders. Legs out. So you can take your feet wider here if you're feeling any trouble in your low back, any pain in your low back. Feet can be a little bit wider. You just want to pull the chest forward, shoulder blades back. Elbows are pulling down towards your hips. And then if you can let go, bring arms up. You can interlace fingers behind the back. Try to pull those hands toward your heels so your shoulder blades are pulling backward a little bit more. And then we're going to release it down. Come back into child's pose. Feel your breath. Okay, we're going to come on to our back. So we're going to do a reclining pigeon. So this is what we're going to hold. We're going to hold it for about 4 minutes. And if that becomes too long, you're just going to let yourself come out of the pose. Maybe just breathe for a while and then take it to the other side when we change sides. That's not my timer here. So on your back, I'm going to give you a couple different options here for reclining pigeon. All right, I'm going to demo this with my bookcase here. You can do this with a wall, a couch, the side of your bed. You want to put your foot up against something that's not going to shift. So I'll give you 2 versions. One if you have something to put your foot up on, and one if you don't. So in a case like this, like I have an ottoman that sometimes I'll use, I could push that up against the bookcase so it won't move. And then I can put my foot against the side of the ottoman. But I'm just going to use this centerpiece in the bookcase. So on your back, and the tighter your hips are, the farther you're going to be away from the wall, the door, whatever you're using. But if your hips are not so tight, you can scooch up pretty close. You're going to spin onto your back. Okay, so I'm going to put my left foot. If you're really close, you may want your left leg to be up straighter. And then bring your right ankle on top of that left thigh. And then you just start to slide your foot down. And if you're too close, you'll feel that there's a lot of intensity in the pose. All right, so the reason why we're doing this supported is we're going to hold it for a while. We want our shoulders to relax. So if you don't have a prop handy, a wall or something that you feel okay about putting your foot on, then do the fall-in reclining pigeon. So we're basically starting the same way. Left foot on the floor, right ankle on top of that left thigh, and then you let your legs drop over to the side so that that right foot comes down onto the floor. And you can shift that bottom leg, that left knee can move farther away from your shoulder if it's too much, or you can start pulling that knee up a little closer to your shoulder. Just trying to find where's that reasonable spot. For me, a lot of times this foot that's on the floor will slide. So I usually just hold it down a little bit. And then the other arm I'll take out to just kind of stretch it out somewhere that feels good. So this way we're working on opening up the shoulders. When we're holding the leg, especially for a long time, the shoulders start to tense up. Okay, so hopefully you've figured out where you're going here. I'm going to start the timer. So you want it to be like not so crazy intense because we're holding it for a long time. So if it's a little too much, try to back up and adjust a little bit. If you've got your foot propped up, then arms can go past your head, shoulder height, elbows can bend, and then head can turn. So again, since we're not holding the leg, head can really turn here. After we're holding it for several breaths, again, you may start to notice, okay, it's a little much, and then you might just, if you've got your foot up, you might just like shift that left foot up a little bit higher. Or if you're in the fallen version, maybe let that knee slide a little farther away from the shoulder. So start to feel, let's do yogic breathing, that yogic breath that we did last week. So it can be a deeper breath. Yogic breath is where we're trying to feel that whole torso expanding and contracting, rather than feeling that we're just breathing into the chest or just breathing into the belly or just into the ribs. We want to feel that full breath, not forced, but just that we're letting the whole torso relax. The muscles are soft enough that that body can just expand and contract. I'm feeling like I want something under my head. So that's another thing you may find that you want to reach for after you're holding still for a little bit, is something to support your neck. So if you're adjusting, then you're just coming back to that yogic breath, the whole body expanding, or the whole torso expanding and contracting. Having that consciousness of the breath and the movement of the body. And also working on being conscious of this leg that we're working on releasing tension out of. And your shoulders. So consciousness of the breath, the body expanding and contracting, and the whole body beginning to let go. Alright, we're going to let go of this side. So again, if you have this left foot up on something, maybe slide that foot up a little bit. Release your right leg. And there can just be some gentle movement. You want to go slow and easy with these yin poses. May feel like things are a little difficult to move when you first release from the pose. So just give it time, move gently. If you're in the fallen pose, you can just kick that leg out and then maybe bring it up towards the ceiling. You want to find what feels like the natural way to move after that one side. So it can be anything. It could be legs holding still. It can be shaking them out a little bit. Just let it be playful. Feel what's going on. And then we'll take it to the other side. So now if you've got your foot up on something, you're going to put your right foot up. If you're doing the fallen version, it's right foot on the floor, left ankle on top of your right thigh. You're going to let your legs drop over. So you could change that from side to side too. Maybe you're going to change your pose based on how your body's feeling. So you want left ankle on top of that right thigh. Again, do your adjustments. So one side may be tighter than the other. So if this is, you may just, so it could be looser or tighter on this side. And so you may just need to adjust a little bit. And then again, how's your neck feeling? Do you need to turn your head a little bit? Are you wanting a support now? Or maybe you've had enough of that support and you're going to take it out. Feel the breath again. Feel that whole torso expanding and contracting. And then we're going to gently release this side. So again, if your foot is up on something, maybe just let it slide up, straightening that leg out. Release the bent leg. So if you're in the fallen version, you can just extend that left leg out, maybe bring it up into the air. See how that leg wants to move. Might be very, very slowly. Shake it out. And then we're going to make our way up into a seated position. All right, a seated forward fold. If your hamstrings are really tight, a little elevation under the hips. Pillow, folded blanket, something like that, just to make it easier to fold forward. So when you've got that little bit of elevation, it's easier to tip forward. If you can do it without that, I'm just going to sit on the floor, legs straight out in front of you. The other thing you can do is have something. So again, if you have yoga blocks, you've got pillows, you can use props either for your arms or for your head. So we're going to have legs basically straight out in front of us, but there might be some space between the feet. So if you get down low enough, you might find you want something to prop your head on. Sometimes that's helpful, just to have something to prop your head on. Or it could be your arms, so maybe you're folding it a little bit. Or if you're not able to go so far, you can have the blocks on the higher end and you can rest your lower arms there just to give you a little bit of support. You want to be cautious in this one of low back issues. So if we're folding forward, I'm going to intentionally let my back round so I can get into my upper back here. So I'm going to be like this. But if you're feeling stress in your low back, you're feeling pain, like you're feeling that pinched nerve thing, then you really want to keep your back flat. And that's where having something under your hips will help keep your back flat and fold in a little bit. And in that case, you might want to change it into a wide leg fold. So it could be, again, that maybe you're just going to prop yourself up and just barely be leaning forward. This feels so good right now. Now I want to do this way. So it can be you're just going to keep your back nice and flat and just barely lean in. So I can feel this all like inner leg and just kind of behind the knees. So either way, feet wide, keeping your back flatter, or legs straight. Again, this could be back flat if you can find a good spot here, or you're going to let your spine round. So I need to work on my upper back here. I'm going to try to reach for my feet and pull my shoulder blades kind of up towards my ears so that I'm rounding the back. Now we've got the head hanging down. This can be beneficial for the neck, but it can also start to be a lot for the neck. So if you're feeling like it's just a little too much, try holding your head up. Maybe go back and forth. Let your head drop down and then pick it up again. So if you have, again, a block, then you can support your head, and that way or a pillow, could be a pillow. That way your head's not just hanging, having all that weight of your head on your neck. So like this, I can support my neck and still have my upper back rounded. So now if you start to feel that, now we're compressing the abdomen. So we're squishing the lungs a little bit. We're making it harder to breathe here. So if you again just tune into that sensation of the whole torso expanding. Where do you feel that now? So for me now, I feel it in my back. Like I can feel my whole back. So now I'm working on not just the shoulder blade area moving, but letting that whole back, the whole rib cage, the low back, trying to feel that sensation of that whole back of the torso expanding and contracting. And that's where you can make it a little bit deeper. You can try to accentuate that expansion in the back so that you're stretching out the back muscles by letting those inhales be a little fuller. If you're in that wide leg fold, then you're not going to have that compression really on the abdomen unless you're really low. So you may not feel it as much in your back as you will when legs are straight out in front of you. All right, we're going to slowly make our way out of this pose. And we're just going to stretch out on our back. So just really take your time. Coming up nice and easy. Big breath. And take your time shifting onto your back. We're just going to slowly make our way down. Let your back flatten out along the floor. Arms can be along your sides or out past your head. You can wiggle your toes. And then here's where we're going to try to do the back bend. So maybe let's pull our knees in towards our chest first. A little rock from side to side. If happy baby feels good, reach for your feet. Pull your feet in towards you and then see if they'll separate nicely today. Being mindful of low back and hips. Okay, so if you have pillows or a yoga bolster or a couple blankets or towels, you can do this a couple different ways, and then I'm going to show you the blocks. So if you're going to use, all right, I'm just going to use this round one. I do sometimes use this for supported back bend. So if you've got a bed pillow, you can either pull it right up next to your low back, so that your low back is supported, lean back, and then maybe it's even another block under your head. So if it's not a long bed pillow and your head's coming off and you feel like you need some support for your head. Maybe put something underneath there. If you want to have your shoulders down on the floor, and then this way you don't really need a prop for your head. So again, I'm just going to mimic this. So if you're going to do bed pillow, you can sit on the pillow, and then you're going to lean back. Hopefully the edge will come right below your shoulder. So then your shoulder blades come down onto the floor, right? And so now your head's down nicely, and you don't need a prop for your head. Arms can go anywhere there. And then your legs. So I'm in a cross leg position now. You can do that. You can do a reclining cobbler, soles of your feet together, or feet on the floor, knees resting together, or legs straight. So pay attention to how your back feels there. All right, if you're going to do yoga blocks, we're going to do heart bench. So heart bench, you've got one block on the medium height, one block on the tall height. So you're going to lay your spine along the medium height, and you're going to put your head on that tall end there. And then you're just trying to find your spot. You want the block to be between your shoulder blades, but that block can be higher or lower on the back, and mine will change just like everything else. Where exactly I'm placing that block will change from day to day. This one can be really intense. So again, some days I'm great in it, it feels awesome, and then other days I just can't tolerate it. Depends on how tight my back is. And the same thing with the legs as with if you're using the pillow. You can be in a cross leg position, a cobbler's pose, legs straight, or feet on the floor, knees resting together. So legs, sometimes I'll do them in one position and then I'll change them partway through, because a reclining cobbler's pose is still pretty intense for me on almost any given day. And then your shoulders. So also on the pillow you can play with shoulders out, arms out to the side, or arms past your head. Again, in heart bench, this becomes much more intense when you're on the yoga blocks. To have your arms overhead, I won't usually hold them here for the whole time. I'll just hold them for a few breaths, play around with it, where exactly I'm going to place them, stretching the shoulders. And then start to watch your breath again. So now, right, the last pose we were folded forward, we were compressing the abdomen. So now we're pushing into the back of the body. We've got the front of the body opening up. So if you start to focus on that sensation of the entire torso expanding and contracting, how does it differ here? Arm placement can make some difference here. Arms out wider will give your rib cage a little more room to expand. try to gently come off. Just try to pull your prop out. Maybe roll to your side. And then you're going to slowly come back down flat on your back. Where your legs are can vary, but you want the torso, the spine, to just be flat on the floor. Let's see if you can hug your knees in. We're going to drop the knees over to the right side. We're going to come into a little twist. So we're just going to twist and then maybe a happy baby, and then we'll relax. And let your knees just come over to this right side. Let your arms stretch out at shoulder height. Soften your abdomen. Bring it on back to center. Just onto your back. And we're going to take knees over to the left side. And then back to center. Knees can pull in. If you're going to do happy baby again, reach for your feet. And then Shavasana. So if you have pillows, you can put one or two under your knees for Shavasana. We want to be comfortable. If you have something to go under your head, again, to support your neck, that can be a good thing. So we're going to do 5 minutes in Shavasana. Find your spot. Come back to the sensation of the breath. And feel that body expanding and contracting. Breathe all the way into the abdomen. Start to move your toes, fingers, wrists. Move your feet around. Turn your head from side to side. Stretch your arms overhead. Bend your knees, roll to one side. And then push yourself slowly up to seated. Yeah, I don't want to work for the rest of the day now. All right. Such is life. Try to bring bottom leg on top if you're sitting with crossed legs. Sit them nice and tall. Hands at the heart. Nice full inhale. And release it out. Thank you all for being here and sharing in this practice today. Namaste.